Hello, and welcome to Discovery Corner. I'm Claire Melvin. Pop the kettle on, pour yourself a glass of wine, maybe even put your trainers on or run a bath, and join me for another journey of discovery. It's October, and on Sunday the 26th, the clocks will go back, meaning it will soon be dark when we leave home in the morning and dark by the time we get back. And for many women, this means a change in behaviour. This episode of Discovery Corner will deal with the topic of women's safety and what we can do to stay safe in the dark. Before I introduce my guests, I wanted to share a couple of facts and figures. According to the National Audit Office, 1 in 4 women will be a victim to sexual assault or attempted sexual assault in their lifetime. And a 2021 UN Women UK survey indicated that 71% of women of all ages in the UK have experienced sexual harassment in a public space, rising to 86% for those aged 18 to 24. My guests today are Anne Shaw, OBE, Executive Director of Transport at Transport for West Midlands and a Violence Against Women and Girls Champion, and Nick Gazzard, OBE, founder of the Hollie Gazzard Trust. So welcome both, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire.
So Nick, you started the Hollie Gazzard Trust 11 years ago after your daughter Hollie was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. And the charity's mission is to not only raise awareness of domestic violence, domestic abuse and stalking, but also to educate people and to provide tools and advice. And I wanted to say that I am so sorry for what happened to Hollie. And I wondered if you would mind sharing kind of what she was like and just sort of telling us a little bit about her and what did happen.
Yeah, Hollie was a very vibrant individual, a real socialite. She had a massive circle of friends. Everyone knew her. And, that came across when we'd lost Hollie with the outpouring of love for her and the effect that it had on the community, not only the local community, but further afield. She was a bright individual. She had a real passion for fashion, and that's why she went into the hairdressing. She wanted to open own business one day, but tragically that was cut short by her ex-partner walking into the salon where she worked and killing her. The last 12 months of Hollie's life, she was involved in an unhealthy relationship with an individual. She didn't know his background or his past, and that since come to light that he was a serial perpetrator of domestic abuse and stalking. He'd been arrested, I think it's something like 12 times. Lots of those were for domestic abuse and violence. He had 2 previous partners that he'd abused, along with his mother. But Hollie never knew any of this, and he needs to serve time in prison as well for this. So the last 12 months of her life, she was subjected to domestic abuse and stalking. And then when she finally managed to end the relationship with him, within 3 days, he walked into the salon, and as I said, he stabbed her to death. So as parents, that comes a massive shock to us, but we really wanted to do something positive. So we set up the Hollie Gazzard Trust, and the objective at that stage was to, if we can help 1 or 2 individuals and prevent some people ending up like Hollie and parents going through what we go through, then that would be very satisfying, and Hollie wouldn't have lost her life in vain. But 11 years on, we're getting bigger and bigger and becoming more and more important, not only within our local county but across the UK, and we do work now all across the UK. We've got 3 main aims of the trust. First one is to raise awareness of the issues that Hollie faced: stalking, domestic abuse, sexual harassment, because we never heard anything of these subjects back then, and I don't think Hollie had that education at school either. So it was very new to her. And the second aim is around providing education, and education in its widest sense. So providing workshops and programs which we've developed over the last 11 years to schools, colleges, universities, workplaces. We help train police forces. I lecture on various degrees at the local university here, and really just trying to get the messages across to individuals of what this is, how it can affect them, what they can do if they're in that sort of situation now, or if they come into that situation moving forward. Because particularly with young people, my main aim is to try and help keep them safe, but also when they go into the working environment as adults, then they're better prepared for that environment as well. So that's two aims. The third aim of the trust is around prevention, and this is where Hollie Guard, our personal safety app, comes in. And that's gone like a train.
Mm.
We've got over 1 million downloads now,
Wow.
and we are working with companies like Lloyd's TSB, which we have partnerships. We have partnerships with 9 police forces, and we're just starting to sign up some local authorities with Hollie Guard Extra. So
Mm.
it's really working and it's helping.
Amazing. I found it quite. You said that her partner had, I guess, previous convictions and had. How would you know this? I just find because obviously, yeah, when you meet someone, you trust what they say. But if someone's got that kind of background, how is there a way to know about it?
Well, back then there wasn't,
Yeah.
and all this came out because when someone's involved, or when someone loses their life as a result of a domestic homicide, you go through what's called a domestic homicide review.
Mm.
That involves all the statutory partnerships in the county that touched either individuals and some voluntary um, agencies in the county, but
Mm.
also because of the mishaps by the police in handling Hollie, it also got an independent police complaints commission investigation where
Mm.
all of this came out.
Mm.
Now we've got Clare's Law,
Yep.
which came in the month after Hollie was killed, so you can now have the right to ask about anyone in terms of
Mm.
their background, and if that person has a history of domestic abuse or sexual violence, then the individual that they're with has the right to know, and the police can go
Mm.
with a support service and talk to that individual to tell them, about that individual's background.
Mm. It almost feels kind of scary to if you're starting a relationship with someone just to kind of you just have to trust them and that's yeah amazing. Um, so you have sort of mentioned the Holly Guard app, but could you actually just sort of say a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, Hollie Guard is a personal safety app you can download to any smartphone, doesn't matter whether it's Android or Apple iOS.
Mm-hmm.
And the basic version is free to
Mm-hmm.
download, free to use, and we keep it free because we want as many people as possible to download it.
Mm.
And I never want really finance to be a barrier to safeguarding.
Yeah.
It costs us £50,000 a year to run
Mm-hmm.
that basic app, so we have to fundraise for that. But I just firmly believe that we should keep that base app free. What it does is it allows you to set up emergency contacts on your phone in your Hollie Guard app, and these are the people that you would like to know if you are potentially in trouble. So you've mentioned that we're coming to the dark nights now.
Mm.
Lots of people feel a bit uneasy when they're going out in the environment when it's dark,
Yeah.
particularly when it's dark and cold, and there's not as many people around. And it's a bit more unnerving for individuals. So if you have
Mm.
Hollie Guard on your phone, when you go out at night, you can click on Hollie Guard and it runs in the background.
Yeah.
And if you get into problems, all you do is shake your phone and that sends an alert to your emergency contact. They can click on the link and they can see and hear exactly what's happening, which allows them to make an informed decision about what to do. Maybe to call the police, maybe
Yeah.
maybe to call an ambulance. You might be in
Mm.
trouble,
Mm.
or they can come meet you because it gives them a map of exactly where you are as well. So that's the underlying functionality of the app. There are lots of different functions in the app as well. We've also bought out Hollie Guard Extra, which is a premium version, and that is a paid for version because
Mm.
some people said, people particularly who are in domestic abuse relationships or stalking, and they don't want other people to know, their family and friends, but they do want someone at the end of a phone that can help them. So if you have the premium version, then all your alerts go to a police approved 24/7
Mm.
response center, which will answer the call around about 8 to 10 seconds, and then
Wow.
they can take action on your behalf. And that's working very well. We have partnerships with 9 police forces and a number of others use the app as well. And as I've said, we've got some contracts now with local authorities, and we've just done a major
Mm.
partnership with Lloyd's TSB, which we launched in Parliament last week. So, it's a great app. Have a look on the website,
Mm.
hollieguard.com. Download it. You can have a test setting in there, so you can test it all out. If it's for you, then fantastic. If it's not, you can delete it again. So
Mm.
there's no harm. You don't pay for it.
That's amazing. Actually, one of the things I loved about your website as well, there's a thing on it that if you go into it, you can kind of click a little thing and it will take you straight out. So I guess that's somebody suddenly said, "What are you looking at?" and you just go somewhere else, which I think is
Yeah,
a
lot of
restriction as well.
support services have their websites with an exit button,
Mm,
purely to protect the individual in case someone comes across. They might be at
yeah,
home,
yeah,
they might be looking at something and they want to hide it straight away. So click the button and
mm,
it goes out straight away.
yeah. And I think, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have children and I do live on my own, and this is a whole new world to me, which I think is a good thing, but it's just my mind is blown. Um, so I have done a little bit of more research for today, and although this is around, it's by This Girl Can, it says that 72% of women in the UK change their outdoor activity routines during the winter. 24% ensuring they take well-lit routes, and 23% avoid certain areas altogether, which is obviously a strategies for, I guess, if you want to go out and exercise. But also, the same is true if you are just going out of an evening, being prepared, make sure you plan the route that you're going, choose the location that you're going, use technology like the apps, plan your routes, know who you're communicating. So Anne, if I could bring you into this conversation, you are a Violence Against Women and Girls champion. Could you just tell a little bit more about what that is, please?
Well, yeah, obviously, I work in transport,
Yes.
and we were asked as part of a sort of broader initiative through the Home Office to look at, well, violence against women and girls on the public transport system. How do we make sure that women and girls feel safe using public transport? And there's a whole body of evidence that sits behind women. More women are more reliant on public transport, so but also more women are put off from taking public transport, so they deny themselves their, maybe the educational skills programs. They deny themselves taking up the kind of employment that they want because they're fearful of using public transport to get to those locations as well. So we were asked as champions to sort of look at, in the broader context of tackling the big issue of violence against women and girls in all sorts of settings, what could we do within the transport world to make sure that we are able to sort of create an environment that is safe and women can feel confident using transport to do a whole host of things as well. There's all sorts of stats behind how much is lost to the economy from lower productivity for women. Women are not excelling in their own life chances and all those sorts of things as well. So there's a real reason why we ought to do that. And it ranges from, what we've just heard in terms of sexual assaults and stalking and other things, all the way down to sort of low-level antisocial behaviour, people staring, which makes women and young girls feel uncomfortable using public transport as well. So we did quite a bit of research. We involved over 600 people, all sorts of different organisations, from charities to transport operators to British Transport Police, local police forces, and other transport authorities and key contacts, to look at what the feeling was around this and why we needed to tackle it, and what would be the suggestions that we should be making to government. So we were asked by the Minister at the time, Rachel McLean, in transport, to actually come up with some recommendations that they could start to just consider as business as usual as we're sort of developing the transport network as well. And one of the big messages that I got from that research with all of those individuals was that women shouldn't have to change their behaviours. You've just listed off, darker nights coming in, choose your routes carefully, etc., etc. But that is also a barrier to people actually doing things if they haven't got a sensible route that they want to use, or they feel fearful, etc. So there was definitely a strong feeling that why should women have to change their behaviours because of somebody else and the way that they behave towards them as well. But ultimately, we need to create a transport system that it provides the safe environment. And there was a number of key recommendations that we made, which are now slowly coming into, all the things. Certainly we at Transport for West Midlands are starting to implement quite a lot of stuff to make sure that we're ensuring women and girls feel safe on our transport system. Parents of young girls feel safe allowing their child on the transport system, and people are taking up those opportunities. So obviously an inclusive society, and women achieving everything that they can achieve as well. So there were recommendations around, well, the data for a start. So very different in terms of reports. There was no sort of consistent approach to understanding what the issue was. Was it actually a sexual or a targeted, something on women? So there wasn't really good data and there still isn't really good data about the kind of things that are happening, and that means that you haven't got the intelligence to understand the kind of interventions that you need to do. So making sure that we've got aggregated data that is giving good evidence around being able to do the research and then implement the right interventions to make sure that we're tackling it together as well. There were really pockets of good practice in different parts of the country, but not consistently applied across the country as well. So how can we make sure that we learn from that good practice, picking up on some of the British Transport Police and the things that they do on the train system, and with the app that they have where people can report things as well, and all the way through to looking at the environment. Most of our transport infrastructure is designed by men for men. So, just encouraging more women into design and into the transport industry, so that we're designing a functional space that is safe for everybody as well. So recommendations around how we encourage that bit more diversity in the workforce, people who are doing the designs and checking those things off. And that's something we've implemented here, is a design review panel that looks not just at violence against women and girls, but a whole range of barriers for people with other needs as well, and make sure that those things are designed out. So it's a good inclusive transport system for all as well. And then also looking at the infrastructure itself, so well maintained, well lit, CCTV, as you've mentioned, a presence of people as well, and people in uniforms who are trusted. Even that can be a problem with some of the cases that we've heard around violence against women, is making sure that we've got a system where those people who are in a trusted position are also vetted and can be trusted by individuals as well if they have a need to do that. And then also looking at bystanders and what sort of simple things like putting yourself at threat as well you can do if you're seeing somebody who might be being teased or stared at or abused in some way. Just simple things like asking somebody, have you got the time, so that they can take that person away from a conflict that they might find themselves in as well. A whole host of recommendations that we're implementing into the transport system as part of that, and that should help women and girls feel safe using transport. And if women and girls feel safe using transport, so does everybody else as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And there's also there's a safer travel strategy that TFWM is kind of launching at the moment as well, which I think is also around ensuring, again, that it's safe to travel. Can you talk a little bit about that as well? Kind of what sort of things that would mean?
Yeah, so we've got, and we've had for 20 years now, a really great partnership with British Transport Police, West Midlands Police, the Transport Authority of Transport for West Midlands. And we work on providing patrols and security and safety, visible presence on the transport system, gathering data and intelligence about key hotspots, joining in with other wider policing matters where the transport system might be being used for criminal activity, for example. And we're out there on the network through whether you're a British Transport Police officer or a West Midlands Police officer, a transport safety officer, which we brought in recently, or just some of our frontline workers across the bus stations and on our train systems. We've got a way in which we work together, jointly patrolling and managing the network. So the strategy, we're 20 years on now. We continually refresh our strategy about what it is that we're doing. We work with the Police and Crime Commissioner, Mayor of the West Midlands as part of that as well. And we set out ways in which the things that we are going to tackle to make sure that the transport system is for everybody. Everybody can feel safe and secure. And we're tackling unwanted behaviours, antisocial behaviours and everything. And ultimately, it's about increasing ridership, increasing security and getting more people using public transport so we can also reduce congestion and make our environment a bit more pleasant as well. And that's in itself, that partnership is sort of groundbreaking. Although it's been around for 20 years, it's award-winning. We've been working with other regions across the country as well to sort of develop similar arrangements as well. And we've been trialling the transport safety officers as part of improving bus services, and we've been supporting other parts of the country and bringing those kind of roles in as well. But it doesn't matter who you work for, works as a partnership, all works on joint intelligence, and manages the network really well.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to share a little story that I have. So I moved about a year ago. I lived just outside Wolverhampton, and I work in Birmingham. And I think it's about January, February this year. I was coming home from work, and I got the wrong bus home, which I didn't realise because there's two buses I can get, and probably about a mile away from the house. And I suddenly thought, this does not look familiar. I have not been here before. And I realised I pulled up little Google Maps, and it showed that I wasn't where I thought it would be. So I got off the bus, and it's probably just after 7 o'clock. Now, I was about a mile from home. I think I've mentioned I live on my own, so I couldn't just ring up someone and say, hey, come pick me up. And I'm probably one of those people that thinks, am I going to call a taxi for a mile? Because that just seems ridiculous. The bus to come back to take me back the direction was going to take me. I had to wait outside for half an hour. I thought, well, I might as well just start walking. So put up Google Maps, started walking, and the only route it was going to take me was alongside a canal path, because there's a canal path that's parallel to where I live. And I was like, I'm not walking down a canal path at 8 o'clock at night. 2 o'clock in the day, no problem. 8 o'clock at night, not lit whatsoever. And I sort of tried to find a different way, and Google just kept saying, turn back, turn back, turn back. And about 5 minutes later, it agreed that there was another route. But actually, should we be challenging people like Google and some of these sort of providers to sort of say, actually, like if you use like Waze or use a car, you'd get the fastest journey by mile, the fastest by time, or, it gives you alternatives. Things like Google, it just gives you one. And I just found that really frustrating, actually. And again, like you said, it felt a little bit like it's almost like it's AI or whatever, but it's also a man developing for a man. It doesn't think about who some of the end users are.
Yeah, but there are other apps available.
There are other apps available, yes.
And,
I was using Google at the time.
Yeah, but some of them specifically have been designed a little bit like the app that we've just heard that Nick was talking about. Some of them have been specifically designed to help you walk in a safer route. So it records where something is well lit as well. And it might be a slightly longer walk, but it's a safer route as well. So there are other products out there that will help you do that. I think the problem is that there's so many different things. Sometimes it's hard to know, but you're right, there's sort of like the bigger ones that you would normally go to, like Google and City Mapper, and others might not necessarily be thinking about these parameters that they should be introducing into how you select the right route to walk in an environment where you're not familiar with as you were as well. So I agree with you. The challenge is there. We should be doing that. Others have taken that challenge slightly differently and actually produced something that people can use. It's how do we get those things visible, so that women and girls can use those as well. But make sure other bigger players are actually taking this seriously as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I will need to check my internet search to find, other map providers. And we've talked a little bit, obviously, about transport. And I think I also wanted to highlight things like the Ask Angela initiative and sort of White Ribbon. So Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, and just wondered if you could talk a little bit about Ask Angela.
Yeah, of course. Ask Angela is a part of the Best Barn scheme. We run a Best Barn scheme in Gloucester, and I'm an accredited examiner as well. So part of that involves Ask for Angela. What Ask for Angela is that all bar staff are trained to recognise that once someone asks for Angela, the term Ask for Angela, there is a room provided within the venue that individual can go and be safe, and then they can call upon whoever it is, whether it's a taxi, whether it's the police or whatever. So it allows that individual to get behind the bar into a safe environment where they can, inverted commas, relax, but they're away from the danger that they've encountered and the reason for the Ask for Angela. So it's a scheme for in the main venues who serve alcohol, and it only works if the bar staff are trained and they recognise it as well. So I know there has been some criticism, particularly in the southeast, when there was a survey done, and they went into bars, and bar staff didn't know what it was, even though
Mm,
they were promoting it on their door. So
mm,
it's like anything, schemes are only as good as if the people are trained to actually identify and use the scheme.
of course. But essentially, I'm in a bar and someone's harassing me, and I can just go up to the person that's serving drinks and just say hello. Can you find Angela for me? And
Yeah, you can ask for Angela, and
ask
then they can
Angela.
take you to a
Yeah,
safe space.
which I think is a great thing actually. And also there's the white ribbon initiative, which is could put you on the spot here, Anne, actually, because obviously it's also a workplace thing. So do you know anything about white ribbon
Well, yeah,
to share?
White Ribbon is an initiative similar to Ask Angela. So it's an
Mm,
accreditation for transport organisations to make sure that they're giving their staff the right level of training.
hmm
As Nick's just said, that is really important to make sure that they know how to work with it. And it's where those organisations will have processes in place to be able to deal with any incidents and keep women and girls safe on public transport as well. So we as an organisation are White Ribbon accredited, and we've had to go through some checks around that. Most of our rail operators are part of that as well. And it just helps make sure that we've got a way of working with the frontline staff in keeping people on board our transport system safe as well. So you'll see the white ribbon on the trains or on logos and things like that as well. So you know that there's an element of safety that is being trained into the staff, and they've got processes in place to look after you if you need to.
Yeah. I think there's a White Ribbon Day in November. So
Yeah.
I will also put a link to that in our show notes as well. So we've talked a little bit about how, as individuals, we can stay safe, and how some of the initiatives that like transport operators and TFWM are providing. We somehow avoided the elephant in the room, and that's obviously the perpetrators of violence. Now, I am not a parent, as I said, but I am aware of, I guess, people like Andrew Tate and people who are seen to be role models, where people I might think, why on earth? But that's me. So what, as a society, or what can we do to kind of help educate people around, I guess, in inverted commas, good behavior, and what should be acceptable?
Yeah, I think there's no silver bullet to this. It's a complex social problem.
Mm,
We have to solve that socially, and it takes, I think, a number of different avenues, and we get involved in a few of those avenues, and our avenues are around education for young people in
hmm
terms of what these issues are, how to behave, how to identify them, what to do if you do identify. We run courses for young males called Rethinking Masculinity, and we get
hmm
called in by schools and universities and sports clubs to say, we've got some young men showing some challenging behaviours, particularly
mm,
towards the opposite sex. So we would go in and we would unpick what it is to be a man, and then we
mm,
build it back up again. So it's usually a whole day's course or two half days, and we've got some really, really good results.
mm,
Um, we've got to tackle the online, particularly the pornography and
mm,
the access to that. We've got to tackle people like Andrew Tate and those so-called influencers of young people.
mm,
So there's a whole host of things that need to happen. We need to fund it properly. The government needs to fund the support services to deliver, um, not only to victims but to perpetrator
mm,
programs, and try and change people's behaviours if they are having those worrying behaviours identified. So there's a whole host of things. It's
mm.
not just one thing.
Yeah.
And we all do our small part in that, and our part really is around raising that awareness and delivering some of those programs, in schools and colleges and universities to young people, but
Mm,
also to um, the community and the business
mm,
community as well. I don't know whether you know, but the Office of Students recently introduced what's called E6 condition
hmm
to all universities and further education, where every student now that joins a university or further education has to go through some bystander intervention training, which Anne mentioned that
mm.
previously. And we deliver that, and
Yeah.
we deliver it locally in the three universities around us. But we also deliver it for businesses and other areas. But it's a statutory thing now in universities and higher education that students have to go through that, and a number of other things to support individuals who are being harassed or sexually harassed or just general harassment. So there are things happening, but like societal change, it's a slow progress because you're changing people's not only hearts and minds, but their attitudes and their beliefs towards these individual areas.
So you kind of mentioned that you do sort of go into schools. So how does that work? How do sort of the young people that you speak to, how do they sort of, how are they afterwards? Because obviously
we get a lot of feedback from schools. We do programs for Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, and Key Stage 5. We don't go any younger than that because that's not our area of speciality.
Yeah.
But all of our programs are age appropriate, so we would build them up as that individual goes through the school. So let's take sexual harassment, for example. We would do some light touches in the early years, year 7, year 8. As we get to year 9, we'll introduce some more difficult areas, and get into year 10, 11, 12, 13, then you're getting into the full sexual harassment area, because they're mature enough then to understand and take that on board. So we build as the individual goes through the school. We're really trying just to keep those people along the straight and narrow, really, to either help prevent them from going through this, or if they do, they will know what to do if they're in that situation, and how to get out of it and get out of it safely, or where to go for help as well, which is important. And hopefully by delivering programs, and we deliver it across the piece, we will prevent some perpetrators as well going down this route. Because as you say, it's okay giving all the information to victims or potential victims, but actually we got to deal with the perpetrators and the potential perpetrators of the future. Because I'm a firm believer, if you don't have perpetrators, then you don't have victims. So it's important that we actually deal with perpetrators as well. It's a bit more tricky, because obviously you don't really identify those at an early age, and that's why we do the programs to a variety of different people, so we can tackle both areas.
Brilliant, thank you.
It's similar to that as well, Claire. We do the same through the Safer Travel Partnership in schools, delivering to young girls about how they keep themselves safe on public transport, but also to the young boys about what their role is in all of this as well. So not to become the perpetrator, as Nick has said as well. What I've found most shocking with that work is that there's a real fine line now for girls to understand what is and isn't appropriate behaviour. As well, and Nick's just outlined that we live in a complex society. Social media and influencers play their part, and that we're starting to get into some really muddy areas now, with girls not understanding what is and isn't appropriate to keep themselves safe as well. And then how do we make sure that boys understand that as well? But it is going to be a generational thing to change in order to tackle that. But we have to keep going. We have to keep trying to do that. But education is a huge, is a huge part of this.
Yeah. So I guess if you were responsible for the government policy and you had all the money in the world, what would you be what would your, I guess, first thing that you'd do to make a difference?
For me, is I would do two things immediately. I would fund the support services, and all the charities and support services that work in this area properly. But secondly, I would free up time in the academic calendar to actually talk about real life issues, like the things we've talked about: bystander intervention, sexual harassment, healthy relationship, keeping yourself safe. These are all vital things for me to keep a young individual on the straight and narrow as well, alongside some of the academic subjects as well. At the moment, I personally believe it's too much academic and not enough real life education. I think we need to address that balance, and the government and the Department of Education has a huge role to play in that. And we've already talked to the government about that.
And then, from a sort of transport perspective, what would you like to?
I agree with everything that Nick has just said. That that is a must. But also just making sure that we continue to invest in our transport system. And I'm not talking about, building more new stuff. I'm talking about looking after what we already have, and where we've got some old and aging infrastructure, which is poorly designed, poorly lit, has dark corners, nooks and crannies. Is that we can look at ways in which we can make those places feel safer, more welcoming, as part of that as well. So not this constant looking for what's the new big shiny thing that we can do, but actually looking after what we already have, and then making that more usable for more people, so women can excel in life just as much as everybody else. We're an inclusive society as part of that.
Amazing, thank you. So sort of looking to sort of wrap up now. So for Nick, first of all, what's sort of next for you and the Hollie Gazzard Trust?
We're doing a lot of pilots at the moment with various police forces and the National Stalking Advocacy Paladin around with victims of stalking, around access to justice and how they can get that information to the right area as quickly as possible, because that is a big issue at the moment, particularly with stalking cases, because stalking is about, in the main, is about a pattern of events, and it can take 20, 30 events. But if you don't see the bigger picture, I could phone 101 or 999, said the person's outside my house again, and the reaction you'll get is, well, they're not doing anything, are they? But actually, if that person's doing that every night and they're causing distress for me, then that's a problem. So we're looking at the overall picture. So a lot of work's being done around evidence, using Hollie Guard Extra, because it has a really good tool in there for recording individual incidents that happen. And we've worked with the CPS to ensure that the data is all kept, and we encrypt it, and we send it to the police in the right way so that it can be used in courts of law, and we've been successful in convictions. So that the reporting tool is a really great tool, and the beauty about it is none of that's kept on your phone. It's all kept in the cloud. It's cloud-based, so even if someone gets hold of your phone, they won't see anything. So it's always there, and it can't be deleted. So that's a big thing at the moment. A number of pilots we're doing, and we're doing some more work and trying to do a lot more work with local authorities, because we see it's a big area, particularly around sexual harassment, stalking, and domestic abuse as well.
Yeah, and for you, guess what's happening within the West Midlands?
Well, you mentioned earlier that the Safer Travel Partnership, and also we will have released the new safer travel strategy for the next 3 years, and incorporated into that is a whole load of interventions around making sure that we've got the right activities in place to keep women and girls safe on transport. So that's the sort of enforcement side, and the policing side, and the patrolling and monitoring side. And then, of course, we've got, as a combined authority, as a transport authority, we've got quite a lot of investment money into our transport system. So anything new that we build is designed in the right way. So we're building a legacy, and then how we maintain our existing infrastructure, we can design out some of the things that make it more uninviting for women and girls as well. So again, we're maintaining that a good legacy around infrastructure, and ultimately we want more women and girls using public transport. We want more women and girls taking up opportunity, and we want them to sort of succeed in all of their life goals, and public transport is a way of helping them to support that, and they can do that safely.
Amazing, thank you. So just to recap some of the, I guess, the things that we've talked about. If you are going out, be prepared. Tell someone where you're going. Choose well lit, busy areas. Use an app like the Hollie Guard. Plan your route and let people know that you've arrived safely. So finally, thank you to Anne and Nick for joining me on Discovery Corner. I provided some links to our discussion and things we talked about in our show notes, so please check those out, and stay safe, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending your time with me today. Look after yourself, and I'll see you again soon. Stay curious and keep discovering.